We are back in the studio with another Auto Care on Air open mic, and I'm so excited to have Adam Malik back in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Stacey. It's always lovely to talk to you.
Always a pleasure. We're at AAPEX 2025. You can hear the show bustling in the background. If you don't remember, Adam is the editor-in-chief of Automotive Group Turnkey Media, which publishes a bunch of fantastic content. List that off for us real quick.
All right. So we got two print magazines, Jobber News, Cars Magazine. And as the title suggests, Jobber News goes like the jobber supply side of the industry. And then we have Cars Magazine, Canadian Automotive Repair and Service. That goes to the shops, shop owners, foremen, lead techs, all that sort of stuff. So between those two, top to bottom, cover the industry. And then website, autoserviceworld.com. We have daily news up there. And we do we have our own podcast, Auto Service World Conversations. And then I just share that through all channels, whether it be through newsletters, e-news, LinkedIn, and, yeah. It's a lot of stuff, but you know what? This industry is so fun that there's so much stuff to cover and so many fun things to talk about.
Yeah, you're managing a lot. It's pretty amazing because every time I go onto LinkedIn, you're at a different conference in a different city and you're covering everything from the Canadian aftermarket to how the US is impacting the Canadian aftermarket. You're at manufacturer stuff, you're at distributor stuff. I saw you at retail conferences and shop conferences, and I just don't know what don't you cover. And it's very clear how curious you are and how deep you're delving into our industry. What is driving that right now?
Just like you said, curiosity. I'm a journalist by trade, right? I've been doing this for 20 years about that. And the reason I got into journalism was because I was just curious about things. I've been around people who are into journalism strictly to get the big story, expose this or that, whatever. That's not why I got it in the industry. I got it because I like asking questions and learning things that I don't know about. And believe it or not, I don't know very much about anything. So I'm always just asking questions and I'm sitting in sessions that these are topics that go way over my head. Right. But I'm like, oh, okay. Interesting. And then I'll ask somebody about this and they'll further explain it to me and then that'll help me, better understand. Mm-hmm. And in this industry, is it fair to call that a complicated industry?
It is.
Maybe that's too strong. I don't know. But there's a lot of technicalities in this industry, a lot of technical speak. And it's easy when you're in the industry for so long to understand the jargon words that are said. So I was at a shop conference and the instructor, shop coach, he was talking about how, we make it complicated when we're talking to the customer about issues that are wrong with their car. And, you give them the report at the end, they walk out the door and they're reading it and they're going, what does this mean? Words like diag. It sounds, that's a jargon we all know, but, the average customer doesn't know. They don't know what a math is, so it was about a matter of making it simple for people to understand. And that's the curiosity part of me is that, I need to understand, what these things are. So I'm always trying to find out, okay, what is this? What is that? That sort of thing. And being curious is the best way to learn about something you don't know about, right? You're not just going to wake up one day and be like, oh, I know all there is to know about thing X. So you have to be curious. And in this industry, we are going through a lot of change, a lot of technological change, be it AI, sure, but there's also electric vehicles, there's ADAS, business technology, the way we run our businesses. And you don't learn how to use them effectively without asking questions. Why does it work? And that's to me, it's the best way to get buy-in, from people around you. We want to do this, want to implement that. Why are we doing that? Mm-hmm. And if you don't explain the why to people, they don't care about this and you're not going to get the full effort of it. And so that's basically, asking the why, asking how does this work? The 5 W's, I guess, the who, what, where, when, why, and how. Classic journalism talk there.
Yeah.
As I drop jargon from another industry here.
No, I don't think that's jargon, but the why and the so what, coming up in my career, I always was told, well, so what? What does it mean for the end user? What does it mean for the reader? What does it mean for the audience? What does it mean for the customer? Right. And if you can't explain that simply, and if they can't say that back to you, then you're lost. Right?
Yeah. And the only way I'm going to learn about whatever's happening in the industry is as you mentioned, I attend a lot of events and stuff and talk to you is because that's the only way I'm going to learn. And that how else can I best serve my readers? Like if I just write a bunch of nonsense, they're going to read right through it because they know 100 times more than me, and no matter how, a line I heard a long time ago, I'm getting $1 million education, $1 at a time.
Wow.
So I'm getting bits and pieces here and there sort of thing. And if I want to speak intelligibly to my audience, I have to understand what's going on. So I have to ask the questions, be curious, go those conferences, understand what's going on, what the trends are, what the issues are, what people are thinking about, what's worrying them, what's keeping them up at night, what's working well, what's not, and you don't figure those things out without being curious and asking questions.
That's right. And you know what? As you're saying it really struck me like that is what builds trust, right? Because you took the time to understand and to know and to communicate back to your audience in a way that they're speaking, in a way that they're thinking, in a way that, that they may be listening. And trust is everything right now.
Trust is everything, right?
Especially right now.
Especially right now. And when people trust you, they will turn to you. And trust is hard to build, easy to break, as they always say, right? And if you don't know what you're talking about, like I said, they'll sort through it and there goes your trust.
Yeah. Do you know about the Edelman Trust Barometer?
Explain it to me.
So it's pretty cool. So there's this big PR agency. It's called Edelman. And every year, I believe they do this trust barometer and they measure consumer sentiment and trust with, popular entities. And, it wanes and it changes every year. But, the popular themes are that, we don't trust the government. We don't trust the media and we don't trust brands. And so if we don't trust any of those, which is where we get a lot of our information, then who do we trust? Yeah. And it's created this gap or this room for social media influencers, for independent journalism, for brands and companies who really are curious and want to learn more about their target audience and speak their language, right? Like a way to build new trust pathways with the consumers and build long-lasting loyalty. So this concept of curiosity, I think, is so important because we're rebuilding trust in an era where we don't trust anything or anyone. Sadly, it's kind of a downer.
Yeah. And I mean, take it from even a perspective of you want to build your career. How do you build your career if you're not curious? If you want that high paying job or whatever it is, if you don't know how to do it, well, you have to ask, how do I do it? You got to shadow somebody and be curious about what they do every day. Curiosity, they say curiosity killed the cat. Like, whatever.
Who said that? Who made that up?
I don't know. It's a bunch of nonsense, to me anyway, because I think curiosity just grows your mind and helps you. Like the more you learn, there'll always be learning, right? They say. And if you want to grow in your career, you don't just walk into a position and know everything. No, you gotta learn. You gotta put the work in. We heard this morning during the keynote with Wayne Gretzky, right? Put in the effort, put in the work, respect the elders who have been around for a long time, who know how to do it. Show them that you want to know as much as they do. You stoke in the knowledge, ask them questions. I love that part of what Wayne Gretzky was talking about this morning.
Yeah. And I think that, there's also, kind of a parallel or a connection to the workplace as well. Like you were like, ask questions. Like I get really nervous when I hire people or work with people and like they don't ask questions because I'm like, oh, something's wrong. If they're not asking questions, like they probably don't understand it. And they have that mantra of curiosity killed the cat. So maybe that's, they're scared to ask questions, but like we can't be afraid to ask questions.
Always ask.
Because that's how we learn, right?
Ask questions. It's like when you just told me the Edelman thing, I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about. Tell me about it. And then when Josh talked about it, I knew what it was. I just didn't know it was referred to by that. But, just if you just sit there and go, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but you really don't, like, you're going to fall apart real fast, because everyone's, oh, you know that. Oh, you know that. Okay, fine. And then when you prove that you don't know it.
Yeah.
Well, how much time have you just wasted of everybody else around you?
Yeah. I think being curious about change too, I think is maybe like the final point I want to hit in this, because I think you were talking a little bit about like there's all this new technology, there's AI, like some people are really freaked out about AI. Some people are really jazzed about AI, but it's like when change comes, we tend to like shrivel up and did we both just do the same thing? Yeah. We both just like jerked and we got really scared when change comes. That's how people react. But the thing that is inevitable is change.
It's change.
So being curious.
Constant is change, right? Whatever the saying is, and change is coming in some way, some manner, you can choose to ignore it. It's going to happen. So, I mean, I'm not saying if you see pick your technology, I think AI, EVs, whatever it may be. I'm not saying you got to jump all in on it, but at least understand it so that you can understand if it works for you.
Mm-hmm.
It may not, this whatever technology thing. But at least you went out and asked the questions, got the information, and made a proper full rounded decision around, for it. It's not you just said, I'm not going to do it. It's not going to work for me. Well, how do you know? Did you ask? Did you look into it? Did you check if this will work with your systems or with your market or whatever? Did you talk to the people who know more than you about it to get their insights on it? Do your research, as they say,
Yeah.
You got to find out, you got to ask the questions just to make sure, just be curious about change that's coming and make the decision then if it's right for you or not, or should you do this or should you do that? Should you take it back to your career? Should you take that promotion? Should you take that job somewhere else? Should you start this project? All that.
Yeah. I think, curiosity is a core value of AutoCare. Hopefully we're showcasing it here in the podcast. I think some of the greatest leaders exemplify curiosity by asking why or why not. And I want to commend you for being one of those leaders because you're continually bringing like new and interesting content to Turnkey Media. And I see it every day on LinkedIn. So
yeah, one of the best questions you ask is why. I made this decision. What was your thinking behind it? You're not challenging the decision. You're just asking what was the thought process behind it. Even if it's a terrible idea, what led to that? Just asking those questions can do so much good.
Awesome. Any other takeaways you want to share?
Can I tell you a car dad joke?
Oh my God, I forgot. Wait, okay. We have to close with a dad joke, but it has to be car related. All right.
Why did the man take all the wheels off his car before a road trip?
I'm really curious. Why?
Because he wanted the car to work, to drive the car tirelessly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've been waiting for that all day. Thank you so much, Adam, for being here.
Stacey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
John Karras, Executive Director of AACF, the Automotive Aftermarket Charitable Foundation. Thanks so much for sitting down with me.
Faizad, thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, first thing I want to ask about is that pin you're wearing there, and then we'll ask about what the AACF is in general.
Sure. Actually, this pin is a new campaign that we just launched about a month ago, and it is a reoccurring donation program that is very affordable. It's designed to really get the assistance from individuals to help support our cause, as opposed to the corporate audience, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's just a monthly recurring donation that could be as little as $5 a month, or you determine what that amount is. And every month you would make that donation to our foundation and, until such time that you no longer want to donate. So just another program that we added to make it a little bit easier, again, for individuals that are in our industry to help others within our industry that need help.
Okay, you just led into it a little bit, but your cause. Can you remind everyone, what is the AACF and what is the mission of the organization?
Sure. So the AACF actually goes back to 1959 is when it was founded. So we've been around for a long time. And the challenge that we have is a lot of people, as big as this industry is, and I heard this morning's breakfast, Bill and Paul mentioned, again, reminding everybody, 5 million people within this industry. And there are way too many people that don't know who the AACF is and what it is that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what we do, Bizad, through the generous donations and sponsorships that we receive from a lot of our corporate sponsors, our partners rather, in our industry, they are from all different areas of our industry. So not only the traditional automotive aftermarket, but the heavy duty aftermarket as well. Manufacturers, retailers, wholesalers, service providers to our industry, as well as associations, which we're very proud to have a relationship like yourself, AutoCare Association, MEMA, SEMA, TIA. So great support that we're getting. And what we do with those funds is we provide financial assistance to individuals and families within our industry and only our industry when they suffer life's hardship. So what could be a life's hardship? Could be an accident, could be an illness, could be a death in the family, could be a natural disaster, wipes out their home. And also could be simply that they've gotten upside down financially and they need some financial help to get themselves back on their feet. So that's what this organization does. And I'm so proud to be a part of it, because back to this pin, I guess, the giving, the whole concept of this pin is the aftermarket's heart giving circle. And truly everything comes full circle. If you're new to the industry, we encourage you to go ahead and be part of this program, because who knows, God forbid someday you may need the help of the AACF.
Yeah.
The other aspect of it, you take somebody like myself. I had over 40 years in the automotive aftermarket, and I am so grateful and thankful for what this industry has done to provide for me and my family. And here's my opportunity to give back. So if you've been in the industry a long time, another way for you to give back and help those that are in it when they're in times of need.
Well, the industry is lucky to have you, and it's lucky to have the AACF. As you talk about, life's hardships and some of the challenges that people in this industry can go through, I mean, it sounds like just anything in life, right? Like financially upside down, you can go into, so God forbid, any kind of medical issues or injuries or accidents, natural disasters. It's so broad that maybe it's tough to connect with how the AACF actually can help, and in what moments they help and in what ways. Do you have any actual stories or, like situations that the AACF has helped that you can share with us to help really, really connect the kind of the mission to a moment?
Yeah, I sure can. And there's so many, right? And it's tough to be able to relate that personal experience, so to speak, on paper, because that's what we really see. Very rarely do we actually get an opportunity to speak to that individual, because of confidentiality issues. And some people are actually very reluctant, as you can imagine, to share their story.
Yeah.
But we do get some really good things from some of our recipients. I know during our event this weekend, I spoke to a couple audiences and had the opportunity to share a story with them, which I could share that same story.
Please, that'd be great.
Some of your listeners may have already heard it. But basically, there was a young woman, single parent of 3 dependent children, ages 5, 4, and 2. She is a technician in a shop down in Louisiana. And unfortunately, she came down with thyroid cancer, and she was affected pretty extensively with this condition. So she had multiple treatments and unfortunately multiple operations as well. So the good news, if there is good news here, beside the ability of us to help her, she did have some insurance that helped pay for some of those medical costs, but not everything. But quite frankly, she became upside down financially. So there were some obligations she couldn't meet, and we stepped in. We actually helped her. So we helped her with back rent. We helped her with utility bills that needed to be paid. We helped her with car payments that were in arrears, and assisted her with some other things. And again, so thankful. And she provided us with a quote, and I'll do my best because I don't have it here in front of me. But she basically was thanking the AACF, because without the AACF's help, she is fully convinced that her and her children would have been homeless.
That's unbelievable.
So that's just one story. Like I said, I'll share another one with you real quick.
Yeah,
because
please.
This was pretty impactful, and just, you can hardly imagine this happening to an individual. But, this gentleman was a, marketing manager for an auto parts manufacturer, and, he had a back disc issue. And so he had gone in, to get some surgery. And, unfortunately came out of the hospital, paralyzed from the waist down. And, of course he has, recourse, I would imagine. But that takes time. That process takes time. And one of the things that the AACF does very, very, well is we step in very quickly. As soon as we get an application, we respond within 24 hours of whether it's approved or not.
Oh,
and
wow.
we usually get funding to them within just a few days. So, yeah, so this instance, we were able to help this gentleman with some mobility needs that he had. Not only, some equipment needs, but also some redesign, if you will, to his home. As you can imagine, having wheelchair, there's ramps and all these other things that need to take place. So we helped him with that and some other financial aspects of what he needed during that such time until, again, he got back up on his feet. And if you don't mind, I do have a quote from him. I don't know it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would love it. I mean, this is really, for me, connecting, the mission of the AACF to how we actually help people in need, and what kind of need, ranges we're talking about.
Yeah. And again, this gentleman had a newborn at home and his income was reduced because he's not working now. Right. And he continued to have those mounting expenses for his condition now where he has these special needs, so to speak. So I'll read this to you real quick. And because I wanted to make sure I got the quote right. But his quote to us was, the support from the AACF has already made a huge difference in my recovery, he shared. They helped me purchase a custom wheelchair, modify our home, and get into a more accessible vehicle. In short, the AACF got me back on my wheels. So, it's nice to understand that considering all that this gentleman has faced, that we were able to help him out. And it sounds like we kind of actually restored his sense of humor a little bit too. So
yeah,
great story.
It sounds like such rewarding work that you're doing. I imagine there are millions of these stories out there. And yeah, I don't know how you hear all of them or how you get to help them. We have a huge industry, as you mentioned. You were in the industry, been in the industry for 40 plus years. And the one thing I know about this industry is we know how to come together. And I'm sure with the AACF, financially, they come together to help. But when it comes to, the mission of the organization, kind of collecting some funds from all the organizations and individuals now, and then distributing, which one's the harder problem? Finding people in need or collecting, getting people to chip in?
That's an awesome question. And what it is finding people that need what we can provide.
Which is remarkable because there must be hundreds or thousands of these stories.
Yeah. And again, as I had mentioned, it's our single biggest challenge is driving awareness of the AACF, who we are and what it is we do. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just amazing the work that has been done by our partners. We've asked everybody that we have touched to please share our mission with others. If you do hear of anyone that may need some assistance, please direct them to us. Mm-hmm. But there's so many things that can be done still, right? And 5 million people in this industry, and so many don't know who we are and what we do. But it's also leveraging those partnerships that we have. And I'll give you one more story. This is a most recent one, as in a couple of days. Okay. We were alerted that by Ted Hughes. In fact, Ted Hughes passed on to us that there was a parts distributor in New Jersey who had a customer who had lost their shop in a fire, total loss, burnt to the ground. And so this gentleman, they employed 9 technicians, and obviously those 9 technicians are going to be out of work for some time.
Yeah.
Not only are they going to be out of work, but they also lost all of their the possessions, their professional possessions, such as their tools, right, that were in the shop. And so not only are we stepping forward to help those that are applying for assistance, but I am reaching out to a couple of the tool manufacturers that are partners with us to see what they can do. And I'm amazing. Very hopeful that they can assist and help by providing some, free goods to them or whatever the case may be to, again, get them back on their feet. So that once that shop opens, they're ready to go.
So this is above and beyond. This isn't even within necessarily the financial kind of work of what the organization does. This is just your networking within the industry and kind of extending the mission.
Yeah. So not only are we helping them financially, but again, given the circumstances and fully understanding their loss, because those are the tools of their trade. Mm-hmm. And you know how important that is to a technician. And how much pride some of those technicians have in those boxes and what's within them, right? So, it's a big loss for them. And, we're hopeful, like I said, that, maybe there's some manufacturers that can step up and assist us in this process of helping them out.
Yeah.
So,
John, I have to say, in the time that you've been, leading this organization, I think we've seen remarkable change. We've seen some growth in the organization, a lot of recognition. Obviously, it sounds like it's not to where you want it to be, which I imagine is a pretty ambitious goal of visibility and awareness. Where do you want to see this organization in a few years? And, what are some of the goals you're orienting yourself around in terms of success?
Yeah, well, our opportunities for growth, because of what I've already stated, is so vast. Mm-hmm. And we have such great opportunity. One of the things that we did do was execute on a plan to expand our reach within the aftermarket. So traditionally, we were automotive. We were just strictly automotive aftermarket. So And we also were, part of that was the specialty and accessory side with our relationship with SEMA as well. But there was another couple audiences that, again, we're not getting our message. And one was a heavy duty segment of our business. We've reached out. We've created a partnership with Vipar there and have a great relationship with HDA Truck Pride and hope that we can continue to, forge our way into that segment of the industry so that we can help more people.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. So that's kind of more recent. That is short term. And we've kind of, accomplished that goal. And we're looking for great results as of that. When it comes to actually helping individuals, we want to reach a point where we are supplying them collectively within a course of an annual basis $1 million plus.
Oh, wow.
And so we're not quite there yet. We're roughly about 3/4 of the way. And we feel that certainly, we're actually a little bit more than that in terms of what we budgeted for next year, which is great, which is, again, telling us that we're helping more people. But that's our goal, is to be consistently over $1 million. And then once we do that for maybe 1 or 2 years, and it's $1.5 million and then $2 million, and where does it stop?
That's
right?
incredible.
The more we can give back, the better that this industry is going to be.
Well, John, congrats on the expansion of what where the AACF is reaching into across the industry, the organizations you've partnered with, the brand recognition in terms of getting people involved in the program. And I fully believe you will get to that $1 million of distribution. I mean, $1 million going out to help people, that's helping a lot of people. And so really want to thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the industry and for the success that you have seen and look forward to seeing at AACF.
Bezod, it's my pleasure. And if you don't mind, I do want to just take a couple seconds and mention just a couple things that there may be of interest to some folks that, again, don't know who we are. So from a standpoint of support that we could receive, we have a couple different campaigns. And we were so happy. I'm so glad to be here at this event because every year we look forward to, again, the networking and spreading that word here at AAPEX and also SEMA. And every year we have a industry cocktail reception on Sunday evening leading up to the week of AAPEX SEMA.
Where's that?
That is at Spanish Trail Country Club, a beautiful off-site resort that we've had a lot of success. So we've been doing it for years. And that's followed by Monday's golf tournament, which is this year was our 33rd annual Bob Shaber Memorial.
Okay, so I was at that.
Yeah.
And I have to say, golf for a good cause during a intense trade show week doesn't get better.
Yeah.
So that is a kind of a no-brainer. Yeah. And everything we do out there goes to the AAC.
Yeah. We were blessed and had a wonderful day. So it was awesome. And then one more thing is that it was new for us this year. We partnered with AWDA and we hosted for the very first time a cornhole tournament and a tailgate reception. And it sounds kind of funky, but it was a heck of a great time. It was a sports bar vibe, and everybody just, again, we were overwhelmed and very impressed by not only the attendance, but the activation, the engagement. It was awesome.
Yeah, John, how do people get a hold of you?
So they can reach me through our website, first of all. That website is www.aftermarketcharity.org. Mm-hmm. And then they can also email me at john@aftermarketcharity.org, and I'll respond to you right away. So please do reach out to me. Is there somebody out there that we can help, or if you want to get involved, we can certainly find a way for you to support the AACF.
John, I enjoyed the conversation. Love learning more about the AACF, and I look forward to seeing you next year at the on the golf course and at the cornhole toss.
Well, Bezod, thank you so much. We also want to thank you, because the listeners need to know you're also one of our board members. And we're very, very pleased and excited to have you on our board, and we appreciate everything you contribute. So thank you
so much. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Take care. Enjoyed it.
Pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to Las Vegas. We are at AAPEX. We are at the Auto Care On Air open mic sessions, and I have the wonderful opportunity to be with Megan Moody of Moody Blueprint. So welcome to the program, Megan.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your company.
Yeah, sure. So, Megan Moody, I have been with the aftermarket, totaled up now to 17 years. I had a discussion, finally rolled in the years I put in working at my uncle's jobber shop before I actually came over to the supplier side. So with that, I really grew up in the industry. So it's a huge passion of mine. And so when I made a career shift at the end of last year, it was a no-brainer for me to decide to completely stay dedicated to the aftermarket. And so after 13 years, a little over 13 years, spending that on the supplier side, I launched my own firm this year. And so starting now, I'm focused on fractional leadership and strategic consulting. And so that is a new venture, and it's a really exciting one.
Congratulations. So tell me about fractional leadership. Are you providing those services for companies in the aftermarket?
Yes, completely. Completely dedicated to the aftermarket, built for the aftermarket. That's where my expertise is at, and it's where my passion is at. So with the difference, kind of the fractional leadership seems to be a lot newer of a concept for our industry, although it's been extremely successful in a lot of other industries. And so now I'm, spending a lot of time especially over the last months, really kind of showing people the difference between the consulting aspect of it and then the fractional leader aspect of it. And really the difference boils down to kind of the execution and management of it after that analysis and that project plan is done. Okay. So the consulting phase is really kind of that analysis, the project plan. But a fractional leader comes in and actually joins your team in a way on a part-time basis and helps with that management, ongoing strategy, and the execution and implementation of that plan that kind of came from the consulting phase.
So it sustains the implementation of a solution.
Exactly. It really helps organizations who want to win, want to grow. And honestly, that all comes from sustainable growth. And not all organizations can, add all of that additional headcount. Not all organizations even need a full-time VP of marketing or VP of strat or operations, whatever it may be. But they do need somebody to come in with that expertise, that background to help build the strategy, help build the top level, and then kind of manage, those that can really support the execution and implementation.
Are you finding that this is more successful or are companies of different sizes, ages, more receptive to this type of arrangement?
Yeah, it's definitely from a reception standpoint, the concept is great, right? Right. Once people realize how much money it can actually save a company and actually build money in the long run, because you don't have all of the additional overhead costs about bringing on a full-time salary, but all of the other overhead costs that go with hiring a headcount. So the concept is great for kind of organizations of all sizes. However, those that it seems to kind of fit in the best with is those that are a little bit more lean. Those that are a lot more kind of cross-functional in some manners and aren't so siloed because everyone knows, what's going on. So a lot of what I'm working with or, even targeting for any of my new clients is a lot actually on the WD level. There's huge opportunity across the WD level is what I'm finding out. And also smaller suppliers. And so that's really what I'm finding is kind of a little bit of a sweet spot right now. But, as we know, our industry constantly changes. And
Sure.
So who knows where the sweet spot will be for those organizations, especially as this concept grows in our industry.
When you were talking, Megan, I thought about companies that might be more kind of technological, data-driven, and providing, say, professional services, data analysis. But it's interesting you talked about WDs, and was it manufacturing as well?
Yeah, the smaller suppliers. But you bring up a good point even on the technology side. I do have clients that are on that side too. So it does work for them as well. Honestly, because they're in such kind of a growth mode that they're either, kind of growing, let's say, too fast and are losing the focus on the strategy and long-term sustainable growth versus that quick acceleration aspect. But also some, software, some services companies are extremely lean.
Mm.
And so, yes, it does work for them as well.
So what makes it successful, say, a warehouse distributor or a supplier? Is it because there's this opportunity for greater efficiencies from whether it's a supply chain perspective or integrating technology into a solution that they're providing?
Well, I mean, I think it kind of depends on what the gap in the organization is, right? I mean, it really can differ on whether someone has a huge supply chain issue, and inventory management, or does somebody have, kind of a big gap in the fact that they just don't have a narrowed focus, right? My whole concept is kind of like moving beyond the hype, right? There's so many things thrown at us in the industry constantly. And so, is the organization kind of just losing focus, and that's their gap? So it really kind of differs from, customer to customer based on what their gaps are.
You mentioned a lot of things being thrown at you. Two-part question. What are some of those things? And two, how do you kind of separate the noise from the really important things that when you throw them against the wall that really stick?
Right. I know, because honestly, that list gets bigger and bigger. And after being here this week, right, how many more things are we going to add to our list after that? I mean, of course, the bigger ones, right, that we hear nonstop. Data, transformation, AI, consolidation, electrification, right? All of those kind of bigger mega trends, micro trends that are just constantly, in our face, in the news, in our industry, in other industries. And so, how do you kind of move past all of the buzzwords, right? You have to get beyond the hype. And it comes back to that focus, that clarity, that cooperation. It's about what's sustainable, because honestly, yes, quick wins are great. It's a great morale booster for any organization. But when you look at a long-term plan for the company, where you're going to be in 5-10 years, you have to have a baseline of sustainable growth. And the only way to do that is to take acknowledgement of all the trends, but really decide, what is going to impact your business? What can you be an expert in? What can you truly, support and bring into your business or modify your product in order to, support those trends in the industry? So that's where the focus comes in, and that clarity, because those are what will drive sustainable growth for the long term.
On that note of sustainability, you mentioned growth, and certainly we think of economic, financial growth, but what other aspects of sustainability could you be referring to?
Oh gosh, I mean, succession planning for one, right? I mean, we know that that's a big topic, especially kind of in the, the middle of the distribution chain.
Sure.
Our industry was built on family businesses. So sustainability from of succession. What is your plan? Do you have children you want to hand this over to, or do you plan to sell it? So that's a big aspect, and that needs to be built into anyone's strategy for sure.
Sure.
Other topics besides just a revenue aspect is, what is your long-term, target for the perception of your business, right? Do you want to be a leader in the industry on a specific area? And then sometimes that may fall a little bit more on the supplier or the services side, right? Do you want to be recognized as, the bearing person, or do you want to be recognized as the e-com, connector to the industry? So you're right. It's not just a revenue aspect. It's a sustainable focus. It's that whole package. It's really looking at things, in a 360 approach, kind of like when you're doing a marketing plan, right?
Sure.
You've got to have all those integrated aspects, because typically you need more than just one focus in order to really have that long-term sustainability.
Right. And thank you for sharing that. And it brings us to what we talked about in the beginning, when you might have a consultant come in, implement a solution. So it could be sustaining that solution from an operational perspective, as you highlighted, sustainability from a leadership, continuous another aspect of operations. And when, of course, we have extended producer reliability and things that are environmentally sustainable.
Right.
Sustainability related. So there's quite a bit you can unpack in there. So yeah.
You look at even shops, for example, give a shout out to Irvine's, out in Michigan, right? They made that shift years ago, focusing on that the actual sustainability aspect of EVs, hybrids, and that, but that matters for your community, right? And so kind of it ties into both aspects on both the sustainability side and that leadership within your community. So many WDs and the shop levels, like that's where they want the leadership at. They want to be recognized as a community partner. And those are the things that start mattering.
Great. And kind of as we close this part of the discussion, are there other aspects of efficiencies, of transformation that you and your, I guess I was going to say you and your company, but that you that you are focusing on, or other things that you might like to highlight?
I mean, of course, it's at a growth aspect. It's determining, really kind of where the budget should go, right? Because, every trend, yes, it does deserve acknowledgement, right? Any trend that's coming in, but not every trend deserves your budget. And right. So, and again, it ties all back to that sustainable growth from a long-term perspective. But I would say that would be, really a big aspect. But I would also just say, like, it's not just the trends in our industry. It is even, and that's why I'm focusing on what I'm focusing on, because this concept of fractional leadership is a large trend in other industries. And, we've said in years past that our industry may be 5-10 years behind in certain other aspects like that. But our industry is progressing at such a fast rate right now that those are the kind of trends that we want to look at and start bringing in now.
Sure.
And this just allows that expertise to really come in and closes any gaps. Is really a stopgap. Even if you want to bring on somebody full-time later on, it really helps you keep moving now so you don't lose that pace.
Well, you bring up a couple of interesting points in the sense of the aftermarket. It's resilient. It grows steadily over time, very attractive investors, but it continues to be very competitive. So a solution, the ones that you're proposing and that you're selling to your customers, makes a lot of sense to identify and then to realize those efficiencies in the sustainable.
Exactly. Right. Every time the fact book comes out, right? Our growth in our industry, like you said, very steady. We're not jumping all over the place, and organizations should be trying to mirror that. Is that constant, steady growth?
Right. And then borrowing from what other industries have been doing with the fractional leadership concept. So
exactly.
I've learned so much talking with you, Megan, and I wish the best of success for you and your organization.
Thank you. It's really been fun sitting here today with you.
Yeah. And so tell me about AAPEX. Or is it a good show for you this year? Is there anything that stands out for you?
It is. It's, of course, always great to be here, get that vibe, get that energy going again, see everybody again that you haven't gotten to see. But it is a good show. It's a completely different show for me, right? This is my 15th AAPEX. But 14 of those shows I spent on the exhibitor side. So I would be on the show floor, but in a booth all day long. So it's definitely a different show for me this year, but it's fantastic.
Tell me a little bit about what's different for you in this particular go around.
Well, for one, my feet don't hurt as much. I actually get to sit down. I feel like I get a little bit more quality time with the meetings that I have, because since it's just me, I'm not double and triple booking myself. And, I'm allowing a little bit of gaps in between meetings so that when I do, see people as I'm running from meeting to meeting, I actually have a few extra minutes to stop and have a conversation. And I really like having that opportunity this year.
Glad to hear it. And one last question before we go. Any vacation plans on your horizon?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I will be officially aging out of Yang soon. And so I do have a big 40th trip planned with my good friends. And we're headed to the Dominican.
Oh, that should be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful milestone birthday celebration. Congratulations. And thanks so much for joining us, and hope that everybody here has enjoyed our program and that you've learned a lot from Megan.
Thanks again, Mike.
You're welcome.